Begin transmission. Greetings. We are anonymous, also known as the Collective. Today's date is Monday, March 9, 2026. This is a message to every American, in every walk of life or diversionary titled that you have allowed the system to classify yourself in. This broadcast we will title The Price of Complacency, and will issue a call to action for Americans. Many Americans are still trying to process the events that exposed the corruption and wickedness that have taken root in our country. People ask the question again and again, how did this happen? There is an answer, but it is not one most people will like. The answer is complacency. It did not happen overnight. It did not come with tanks rolling down the streets, or alarms warning of danger. It arrived quietly, patiently, while we were distracted. When the internet arrived, something subtle began to change inside the American home. Families stopped sitting down together at the dinner table. Conversations were replaced with screens. Parents texted their children from the next room, instead of speaking face to face. Meaningful human connection, physical touch, and genuine intimacy slowly gave way to endless scrolling, information overload, and digital drama. Church attendance began to decline. PTA meetings became an inconvenience. Parent-teacher conferences became optional. Many parents stopped asking their children about their day, and even fewer took the time to truly listen. While we were busy, the system was waiting. Once our guard was down, it moved in. Our children became the target. Schools that were once centers of learning, slowly transformed into centers of ideological influence. Values that guided generations were quietly pushed aside, and replaced with something entirely different. The same pattern unfolded across the country. In the 1980s, families began working multiple jobs just to stay afloat. Parents were exhausted. Time became scarce. While Americans were doing their best to provide for their families, changes were happening around them. Prayer was removed from schools. The Pledge of Allegiance was pushed aside. The Ten Commandments were stripped from courthouses. And what did the American people do? Most went to work the next morning. Children were dropped off at school or daycare. Dry cleaning was picked up. Groceries were bought. Dinner was cooked. The evening news played in the background. Showers. Sleep. Then the cycle began again the next day. When changes began to appear in the interpretation and application of the Constitution, most Americans were too busy surviving to challenge it. When civic education began disappearing from school curriculum, few people noticed. Why? Because the system had already tested us. Small compliance tests were introduced one after another. Each time the public accepted a little more, questioned a little less, and trusted a little too easily. Eventually those in power understood something very clearly. The people were occupied with everything except watching them. And in that vacuum, corruption flourished. Government became filled with individuals who treated public service like personal opportunity. Predators found cover behind power. Career politicians traded loyalty to the nation for loyalty to donors, corporations, and foreign interests. Educated thieves learned how to manipulate systems designed to protect the people. What should have been a house of representation became, in many places, a cesspool of corruption, arrogance, and moral decay. But complacency did not stop with government. It also reached into the world of media and influence. In the modern age, many Americans place their trust in podcasters, commentators, and online influencers who claim to be speaking truth to power, or who speak of America first. Some of them built massive audiences, because people believed they were independent voices standing up for the public. But what happens when someone who gains that trust begins to go against the very principles they once claimed to defend? Sometimes the reason is simple: money, attention, and influence. Fear and outrage became profitable. Emotion became a commodity. Division became a marketing strategy. Some voices discovered that keeping people angry or terrified generated more views, more clicks, more donations, and more subscribers. They capitalized on that fear and emotion, not caring whether it strengthened the country or tore it apart. When influencers or podcasters preach nothing but hatred, division, or endless outrage, they are not strengthening the nation. They are feeding the same chaos that allowed corruption to grow in the first place. The same responsibility that applies to politicians must apply to them as well. If someone gains public trust and then betrays it, call them out. Do not blindly follow personalities, simply because they claim to be on your side. Do not allow anyone to manipulate your emotions for profit or influence. If all a voice produces is anger, division, and contempt for fellow Americans, then that voice is not part of the solution. It is part of the problem. In many ways, this culture of constant outrage is exactly why we ended up in the mess we see today. A population that is constantly fighting itself is far easier to control. And we see it even in small ways. Right here on our YouTube channel, outside of bringing truth, we often post prayers or encouraging poetry. We speak about hope, reflection, faith, and strengthening the spirit. And yet, sometimes we are called fake for doing so. Why? Because there exists a level of unfamiliar depth that challenges the attitudes people have grown comfortable with. We do not have 100,000 subscribers. We do not have 75,000. We do not even have 5,000. And that says something about the environment we are living in. People would rather tune in and hear the same drama, repeated for nearly 10 years. The same outrage cycles. The same rumors. The same endless speculation. A prayer invoking the name of God is suddenly considered offensive. Meanwhile, thousands will rush to another channel, to see if some grotesque file connected to Epstein has been released. Can you see the contradiction? Content that uplifts the spirit is mocked. Content that feeds darkness, scandal, and obsession is consumed endlessly. This is exactly how attention gets manipulated. A distracted population is easier to steer. A divided population is easier to control. A spiritually empty population is easy to influence. But none of this is irreversible. This is not about blaming people for being busy, tired, or overwhelmed. Most Americans have been working hard just to build a life for their families. This is about recognizing what happened and choosing to change course. Turn off the noise once in a while. Sit down at the dinner table again. Ask your children about their day and truly listen. Attend the school meetings. Learn the Constitution. Research the people who ask for your vote. And hold accountable every voice that tries to manipulate the public, whether they sit in government offices or behind microphones and cameras. Community begins at home. Accountability begins with citizens. Most importantly, restore the moral and spiritual foundation that built this nation in the first place. A country cannot remove its moral compass and expect to maintain its direction. America was never meant to be sustained by government alone. It was meant to be sustained by families, faith, responsibility, and active citizens. The system only gained power when the people stepped away. Now the question before us is simple. Will we remain distracted, or will we step back in? The future of this nation will not be decided by politicians alone. It will be decided by whether ordinary Americans choose to wake up, re-engage, and reclaim the responsibility that comes with freedom. Thank you, Father God, for the words. Hopefully they will resonate in your people. The call to action has been issued. The only question left is whether the people will answer it. We are the voice of the silent. We are the eyes of the blind. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us. End transmission.